Lapides, CEO and President of Residential Properties. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate.
I appreciate your coming in to give us the skinny on 2018 on the market here in Rhode Island, but you had a banner year in 17.
We had an amazing year, and it was despite a lack of inventory. It was despite a crazy number of buyers coming in, but it was a banner year, and it actually matched the year before, which had more inventory and more and less activity. So we were thrilled.
So talk with us. I mean, it's so hot right now. Is there any comparison to pre-07, 08, or is that apples and oranges?
Well, the inventory was much higher in 27 and 208, and so it's a little hard to compare that. I think what is the same is that we have very few houses on the market. I mean, it's under 3,000 houses in the single-family category. So that's as low as we've ever seen it in the state of Rhode
What's it
Island.
usually typically to the average layperson? I mean, someone who's buying certainly knows.
I think right. I think that if the market has 5,000 houses, it makes a more balanced market for the buyer and the seller to negotiate. So when you're talking about under 3,000, there is competition for almost every price point.
So are we near the peak? I mean, are we going to continue to see?
Every time people ask me that, I say, if
I had $1 for every time someone asks me that.
I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea if we're in the peak. What I can say is that the market is not appreciating as fast as it was pre-2007.
Okay.
So we saw, a 7% appreciation last year. The last quarter of the year, we saw a 13% appreciation. So let's look and see what happens in 2018, and then I'll be able to better tell you what I think.
Are we going to continue to see these prices just keep going up? East Side, other desirable locations, Boston.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's actually everywhere. It's all over the state of Rhode Island. Of course, the closer you are to the city, because more people work here and it's very walkable and it's beautiful and the food is great here, more people want to live in Providence. But the truth is, we're having multiple bids in every city and town.
Okay.
So it's everywhere.
So no concerns, potential for negative impact on economic growth. I mean, looking at this, I'm sure people ask you. We've talked with you about this too.
Yeah.
We looked at the potential if Amazon HQ2 gets up in Boston and we see this overflow of people who have, high salary ranges able to support this. I mean,
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
It's good for our economy. It's great for our economy. We would, and I've said this for years, if we had a better high-speed rail system going to Boston, we'd be a suburb of Boston. But at this point, it's the two briefcase family that chooses to live here. One works in Boston, one works in Providence, and they choose Providence. But economically, it's good for our entire state. It means new carpet goes in, houses get redone, people buy refrigerators. Every aspect of home ownership provides an opportunity in Rhode Island.
So we've heard talks about people literally coming into the airport, getting Uber rides, coming around, looking at houses. I mean, could you have predicted this continued growth of the market, even with the small inventory?
Well, I think that what Rhode Island has going for it is the ocean. It's well governed. It is beautiful. We've got the colleges. We've got great hospitals. So there are people that are moving out of large cities who are thrilled to go to a medium-sized city with very little traffic.
So are there challenges with limited inventory?
Yes.
We had a little discussion about that, so tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so it's really hard for the buyer. It's much less hard for the seller. However, there are very few options for a seller to go to. So we have, thank goodness we're doing a project called Kettle Point. We're representing it. And they are wonderful condominiums on the water. It finally gives an answer to people who want to downsize, which means either a smaller house or a lower price.
And where's the Kettle Point? development?
Kettle Point is on the water in East Providence.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
What's heating up outside Providence?
So that's what's heating up outside Providence. So for home ownership, it is, you know, places like Kettle Point, and there are other new developments that are going up around the state. However, we just don't have enough. We don't have enough opportunities in almost every category. So it makes it very hard for the buyer. They fall in love with something on the internet. They can't wait to come into Providence. They end up being one of 5 people bidding on a house. It goes $30,000 more than the asking price, and one person's happy and 5 people are unhappy. So, you know, you can't make them all happy.
So other markets as well, you know,
Yeah.
East Providence, its proximity
Yes.
to Providence.
Yeah.
You know, places, let's go East Bay for instance, you
Yes.
know, could a Warren turn around? There's a lot of restaurant, bar scene there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we all know the Barrington's got the real estate, but what are the other potential areas that we could?
So Warren actually is a place that would be interesting to develop, to further develop. The American Tourister building
Yes.
just has been made into apartments, and in most of these large mill buildings, developers frankly decide that they're going to do apartments because they can't afford to do it otherwise. So, but there are opportunities all over the state that are mill building conversions and new construction, and I think that we're seeing opportunities for people not in the lowest price ranges. So it is forcing people out of community that have been gentrified. It's a problem.
I was gonna say, I mean, we
Yeah.
talk about the exploding prices on the east side and
Yes.
other places as
Yes.
well. I mean, what are you seeing with first-time home buyers? Is it just incredibly difficult at this point?
It is so hard for them. You know, our price points are high for new people into the market. They have debt from college. They have, you know, car loans. They're in their first jobs, but they're starting with 2-family houses.
Mhm.
They're starting with 3-family houses, little condominiums. They're getting their foot in the door so that they can start to build some equity.
And so when you have conversations with city elected officials, state elected officials,
Yep.
when we talk from just even a policy standpoint, what are you talking about with them?
Well, what are we talking about?
How much
with
time
that?
do we have?
All right. So, you know, our tax base in Providence is very high because probably 50% of our buildings are non-taxable. That puts a huge burden on, particularly on the east side. But it is hard for everyone, this tax burden. So I certainly talk a lot about that. You know, we talk about what companies are coming in, what opportunities can we create, what are we going to do with the Superman building, what are we going to do with, you know, we have so many opportunities. The I-195 land, how is that going to impact housing? And what kind of housing do we have to provide in the future? So those are the kinds of conversations I have with leadership.
So let's talk residential,
Yeah.
and let's talk about what really differentiates you from the rest.
Well, I think it's the quality of our agents. I think that I have very high standards. I hire only full-time people. They have to be nice. They have to want to work full-time. They're really smart. But our marketing is actually completely different from most people. We have a full-time video department, and we do videos for real video, not pictures set to music, which I think a lot of companies do, but we do real video telling a story about why somebody would want to move to this neighborhood, to this house. We have sold houses to people who looked at the video in California and flew out here and bought it. Said, "Oh, I like your voice on the video. I like your voice seeing this house." So yeah, it's been great.
How much has video changed it for the people to really look and see, you know, and have the ability from their living rooms to sort of winnow down, even though it's
Yeah.
a small inventory?
You know what? People from out of town depend on it.
Yeah.
You know, they love beautiful photographs, but that is not the tour of the house. As we tour it as though you're walking through it with the agent, and I do all the voiceovers. So I tell them what is special about the house, what is special about the neighborhood, and it's been incredibly effective marketing for us. And I think it's really helped out-of-town buyers, particularly.
From a broad-based perspective,
Yeah.
industry-wide, if
Yep.
we've got people watching here, what would your advice be to sellers?
Well, besides higher residential properties, no. My advice to sellers is that your house is a commodity, and it is no different from anything else that is for sale. If you take a look at Architectural Digest and you look at how sparse the furnishings are in any one of those photographs, we believe in and have a full-time stager, and we send them into every one of our listings because photographs are a photograph of a home is no different from a website to find a perfect partner. You know,
You've got to make it look as great as possible.
Good as you can. Absolutely. And you know what? If the picture is bad of the person on Match.com, you're skipping to the next person.
You're swiping right.
Yeah, that's right. It's the same thing with a house. So you have to stage your house, have the best marketing that you can have on your house, and you've got to have an incredibly skilled broker who knows how to negotiate multiple offers.
On the flip side, advice to buyers.
Advice to buyers. All right, advice to buyers. Don't get emotionally involved in any house you look at. There will always be another one. Get yourself pre-qualified. Make sure that you have all your ducks in order so that when you make that offer, it's almost like a cash buyer because you have been qualified, you have your letter with you. Make sure you're represented by a broker who can give you all the information you need on what kind of an offer to make, and just hope that you got in there early enough so that you got to get your offer presented before 20 other people came in.
So how, driving around, you see the open houses, you
Yes.
see 20 cars, there are people probably with cash on hand, like literally.
There are.
Literally got the checkbook and said, I can pay for this.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
When it comes to that hyper competitiveness, you talk to putting your ducks in a row,
Yes,
but
yes.
still, how do you, as you said, don't get emotionally attached.
Right, right.
You're like, I
That's right.
love this house, I need
That's
this
right.
house.
That's right. I think that you have to make sure that if you are really confident that you will get a mortgage, you can drop your mortgage contingency. If you take your, if you have a contractor come through with you, you've seen the pictures, you know that it needs work, take that contractor through. Find out that it's going to cost you $50,000 to renovate it. Make your offer based on that. But you have to make it as clean and as attractive an offer as you possibly can, or you're never going to get the house.
And here we are, beginning of 18, still a hot market. You know,
Yep.
what if you see that house and you're like, oh, with just a little more work, I could really end up making a good profit off that. Is it just, again, you really have to like the house?
You have to want to. I mean, I think most of us have lived in houses long enough that you respond to something sort of viscerally when you walk in. I knew the house that I bought that the moment I walked in that front door, I said, oh, I could live here. I think that people do that all the time. It's very hard when you're in a competitive situation. Not all houses are competitively have competitive activity, but most are these days, and particularly in the price range between $250 and $600.
Okay.
That is it's just as competitive as it can be. Yeah.
So what are you thinking 18 is going to look like? You've had 3 banner years in a row of leading the state
yes, we
here.
have. Yes, we have.
After 17, do you
Yep.
expect to improve even on 17?
Well, I'm very kind, but I'm horribly competitive, and so I set standards for myself, which means I want to sell $1 billion worth of real estate. And we are just under 800 million this year, which is frankly over 300 million more than our next competitor. I mean, we sell a lot more real estate. And the truth is, I want to get to $1 billion, and I'm going to get there.
$1 billion. Well, we could very well have Sally Lapides here at this time next year, but I appreciate your coming in to give folks a little overview of the market as, again, we know inventory is tight, but wanted to get some nuances, from residential properties. Sally, I appreciate you taking the time.
Much,
we'll
Kate.
talk
I
soon.
appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
take
you.
care. I'll let you around the corner.
Thanks.
Sally Lapides, CEO and President of Residential Properties, just had another state-leading year. Just talked about wanting to do $1 billion in 18, talking about the tight market, emerging hotspots in Rhode Island, advice for buyers and sellers. I appreciate Sally taking the time to come in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our next guest here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.